Hey, welcome to FreightWaves NOW, where we're bringing it to you live today, every single day. It is Tuesday, and I'm excited because for a lot of reasons, but one of them is we have just started the tour of our Freight Futures Roadshow, and it's going around right now. We're in New York, soon we're going to be in Chicago, and we're going to begin educating you guys on what does this mean to have a Freight Futures network, a trading platform coming March 29th. But what is happening right now? Well, Nick Austin is going to tell us, our chief meteorologist, going to tell us what's happening around the nation and where some disruptive conditions might be. And then we've got the wonderful wizard of Michael Crosby, who is going to be telling us, well, a little bit more about taking baby steps about the freight futures and, you know, why do we need it? What does it mean? So, Nick, hello.
Good morning, Chad.
Good morning. What are the conditions around? I see lots of rain.
We have disruptive weather in a few areas of the country. Two in particular. One that's been disruptive for days now. Ever since last Friday evening, and even up right until now, the Sierras. The Sierra Range here in Eastern California.
Just
right along
spread all out.
They've already had several feet. Some ski areas out there, and which that's not really a concern for the truckers, but the ski areas, some of them out there have received 6 to 8 feet of snow already in the past few days.
I heard that 6 feet hit in 24 hours somewhere.
In some places, yes.
That's like a century.
The snow
record.
was coming down fast and hard, and the wind was blowing it around everywhere. A lot of low visibilities, and there have been problems. So we'll take, this is the head haul index, which measures outbound volume minus inbound volume. So
imbalance, it's where carriers like to go.
So down around the LA market, there's a lot more outbound volume. So for anyone taking volume out of there, having to head into the Sierras, it might not be a great idea because there have been problems on Interstate 80 from the Sierras going through the Reno and Carson City areas.
Yes.
And the Lake Tahoe area as well. So, I mean, problems on I-80 with sections of I-80 being shut down, everybody being turned around because the conditions are just too dangerous on the roads to let anybody through from time to time. And that'll continue today and kind of fade later in the afternoon. So that's the one trouble spot.
Okay.
But there's another.
Where?
Especially later today.
Okay.
That's going to be where you see the red and the pink here on the radar heading up towards Chicago.
Very colorful.
Davenport, Iowa, eventually up into parts of Michigan and southern Wisconsin. Sleet, freezing rain. Could be a lot of freezing rain. There could be ice accumulations of 1/4 to almost a ½ an inch.
That's awful.
Across the Chicago area, at least parts of the Chicago area, down in parts of, and up in Wisconsin, parts of Michigan as well. So especially for night shift drivers tonight, that's going to be a problem. You probably want to definitely avoid those areas because it'll affect sections of I-80, I-90, some major interstate corridors that go up through that area. So that's going to be the other big problem spot. Otherwise, it's just, you know, snow here and there scattered across the Rockies. They're used to that. Although there is a threat possibly of some avalanches in parts of the northern Rockies. So there are avalanche warnings up for some areas, so they have to watch out for that. But as far as being on the roads and the truckers, Midwest, Sierras, those are the two big trouble spots. If at all possible, avoid those areas today and tonight.
Okay, thanks. So other than
be careful out there.
Yeah, for sure. Other than a few avalanches, nothing to worry about out there in Denver. No, but thank you very much, Nick. It's always, you know, it's like the good news is he's bringing it to us right now, knowing what to, you know, watch out for. But the bad news is there's stuff to watch out for, and it can be dangerous. And so sincerely, people like tune in and be careful out there. We also saw in the southeast like some patches of heavy rain. You know, so it's you just be careful out there. They're hard miles as it goes in the winter time. So now we're bringing you the wonderful Wizard of Croz, who's going to tell us about the trucking freight futures and the roadshow that is just now beginning. So hey, check out this cool shirt that he's wearing.
That's right.
Wow.
Why didn't Josh zoom in on that while you read it aloud, since I can't read upside down, Chad?
The Trucking Freight Futures Roadshow starting in February 2019. It's what's happening right now.
Right now. I'm going to do a 180, and you can look at the back. We're coming to 9 cities near you.
Look at that. And this is in alphabetical order. Today we are in New York City.
New York City, and I believe that one got sold out as well. We're also doing like a 90-minute online presentation for people that want to learn about freight futures and you know how it affects their business and what it means specifically to their aspect of the business. So, you know, I love talking about volumes and rejections, but for the last week, volumes have been relatively flat and so have rejections. We kind of have the same market conditions going on as we have had for the last few days. So I thought we'd take a moment and talk about freight futures and specifically what's going on right now. So freight futures are essentially a way for you to hedge the costs in your business.
What does hedge mean? Can you please tell me? Well, I mean, what are we? We're in trucking here. We're not bank. You know, we're not financiers.
We're not banking, but every aspect of trucking, from brokers, shippers, carriers, and financial institutions, they all have a need to hedge. Basically, a hedge is a financial investment designed to reduce the risk of adverse price movements.
Whoa, that sounds like something you memorized. That sounds complicated.
Well, I've known that for a while, but I'll say it again. This is a lot of words. So a hedge is a financial investment used to reduce the risk of adverse price movements.
Well,
so,
why is there adverse price movement?
In everyday language, I guess, if I had to, you know, just sum it up, I would say it's basically locking something in, essentially. So
locking in a price.
Right. So we talk a lot about carriers being naturally long and shippers being naturally short.
Oh boy.
So just to kind of tell you what that is. So naturally short means just what you naturally want to happen. So if you'll remember, short is synonymous with south, selling, bearish. They all mean the same thing, basically going down. Okay.
Yes.
Long is synonymous with buying, going north. Bullish, if you hear that the market is bullish, that's kind of what that means. So where carriers are naturally long, it means they naturally want the prices to go up. So carriers would like to see the rate per mile go to $10 a mile. Shippers would like to see it go to $0. But neither the market will not support either scenario.
So what you're saying is that there are two different sides to the equation, which I guess you have to have for there to be people hedging one way or the other. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So everybody has their own interests. Like I said, carriers want rates to go up indefinitely and shippers want them to go down. So that's why they're naturally short. They want rates to go down and carriers want them to naturally go up.
Let's back up a tiny bit because, whoa, this is getting heady stuff right away. No, but this is awesome. Why do we have the DAT van freight rate index pulled up right now? What is happening right now?
This is the freight rate index per mile, and it's a naked index, I call it, because it's stripped of fuel and accessorials. So accessorials are something that's out of the equation here. Lift gates, teams, hazmat, anything
all
like
those
that.
Consolidated costs.
Of course, fuel can fluctuate and throw the index off, but it can also be hedged separately. So that's the reason essentially it's a line haul rate. Is what it is.
Okay.
So this is the national van rate. So it's a summation of basically all the rates boiled down without the fuel or accessorials. So you can see over here.
Year over year. Is it 1 year?
It is year over year.
Okay.
Now, Chad, you are our hostess with the mostest. You've got a beautiful wife. You've got 3 wonderful kids.
What is happening?
You like to dabble around in the guitar and whatnot. So this chart doesn't really mean anything to you, and that's okay to say it doesn't, which it doesn't really affect my life. So if you talk about like a normal scenario of like, what does this mean, like locking it in, going long, going short? So you notice like the price of gasoline in the Southeast. A couple months ago around Christmas, it was like that $1.65. Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say that
this isn't prices, right?
This is price per mile.
Yes. Price per mile, and it has been going way down.
Way down.
Which is a lesson to be learned here, but we'll get into that, right?
Absolutely. So
ticking back up.
Would you say that the price of fuel a couple months ago, $1.65, is that good or bad?
I'm glad that you asked that. Right now it feels expensive, but $1.65, it sounds like right now it sounds expensive, but I bet it was good.
Right.
in the overheated market, if you're talking like early December.
Early December. So
yeah.
In the Southeast, gasoline prices got down to like $1.65. So if you ask most people if that were good or bad, they would say it's pretty good. So theoretically, if I said, what if you could lock $1.65 in for 2019? It could go back to 1995 prices of 79 cents a gallon, but it could also go back up to $3 a gallon.
Okay.
So essentially what hedging would be in this theoretical scenario is you would lock in your price at $1.65 a gallon. So if you are a consumer of gasoline, are you naturally long or naturally short gasoline prices?
If I'm who?
If you're a consumer.
If I'm a consumer,
Chad,
I am long.
You are naturally short because you...
I want prices to go down.
Yeah. You want prices to go down.
I was thinking I'm bullish
but
I'm bearish on the price. I want that price to fall. I want it to be cheap. I am short. Yes.
You are short. So this is the same. So as consumers, where we know, we kind of have a feel for what's expensive and what's cheap, something that we buy every week, just like gasoline and milk. This is extremely familiar, this index, to carriers and shippers. So if we look over here.
So this isn't just a sonic wave.
Not just a sonic wave. We have lots of volatility in this chart. So over here on the right, if you are a shipper, now what have we been talking about the last 2 or 3 weeks?
All kinds of things.
All kinds of things.
Every day is a new day.
I keep throwing you curveballs.
We've been talking about volumes going down.
But rejections also. It's been a shipper's paradise. Shippers control the freight game. The ball is in the shipper's court. And this is why right here.
And also, let me add to that, I will say, because we had this crazy overheated market with all of these conditions last year in 2018, right? And there was a perfect storm. We can talk about all that, how it happened, but when you have a capacity crunch, 2018 was the historic year of a capacity crunch. Then what do you have? You have lots of, whether they're small or big, even if they're not the big carriers, because maybe they're prepared, but you have 90% of the market are a lot of owner operators, the silent majority, and they're hey, I can afford to buy an extra truck or two because man, it's needed, and I'm having to turn down all this freight. So what happens is capacity, increases, the surplus gets bigger, and then things tick off a little bit, and there's all of these trucks in the market, and this is historic. This is the pendulum swinging, and this is what are we experiencing right now? How about if we had a freight futures market and people had been able to make their hedges because of the inevitable volatility? Am I getting it?
Absolutely. So let's go back in time to the end of June of 2018, which you were speaking about.
Yes.
When carriers kind of had. So look at the peak here it went up to over $2.10 a mile if you go all the way to the right side and look at the y-axis there. So if you were to go to ask CEOs, CFOs, COOs of major trucking companies, would you be happy with $2 a mile? I think you would get a unanimous absolutely. So
at that time.
At this time, right. Now carriers are naturally
they're long,
right.
And they are bullish.
Bullish, right? So when you hedge, you want to take the opposite side for protection.
Right. And what are they bullish on? Let's reiterate.
They're bullish on prices. They want prices to go up.
Yes.
So at $2 a mile here, you would want to hedge. You would want to go short. Okay?
Yes.
So essentially they would be locking in that $2 a mile. So if prices go up to $3 a mile, they're basically losing that on the financial side, but making it on the physical side, where they're actually making the rate per mile. Whereas the opposite is also true. When prices inevitably fall down to $1.60, right?
Yes.
They're losing 40 cents a mile in their operations.
Right.
But they're gaining that on the financial side. There's two sides. There's the physical side. When you trade our futures, it's financial only.
So the physical side, you mean there's actual trucks?
Actual trucks. The carrier.
No, there are not actual trucks.
On the physical side, there are. On the physical side,
but the freight futures contracts are not about physical trucks.
So in this scenario, they would, when rates were $2 a mile, goes down to $1.60.
Yes.
They're losing 40 cents a mile in their operations, their physical operations, but they're gaining that money on the financial side, essentially making it a wash, locking that $2 rate in.
Okay.
So we go over here to the right side, and you look. This is where shippers are. We're below $1.40. So this lends a lot of credence to why this is a shipper's paradise, and shippers are very happy. We have oversupply of capacity despite volumes kind of trending up year over year.
Yeah, shipper's paradise. It is. They are digging these low.
They are digging. So a shipper
rates.
is naturally
bearish,
short. Yes, he's getting it. No, I love it. So
it takes me a while.
Shipper would want to go long. So as rates go up,
yes,
they operationally their freight spend is more, but they're making it up on the financial side.
I think another thing too that is important to be thinking about is this isn't just predicting the economy. A lot of people feel like, oh, I can predict the economy, but this is predicting and analyzing and assessing day by day, like what's happening right now. The freight markets, and one of the things that as you're hedging against is volatility, which is what we keep emphasizing here right now, right?
Absolutely. I zoomed out just a little bit on this chart, Chad, just to show you. We know that 2016 wasn't a great year for carriers, and this rate actually got below $1.20 a mile. So zooming out and kind of putting it in context, now all of a sudden $2 looks really good. $1.40 isn't the lowest it's been.
Same index, just giving us a 5-year.
We're looking at a 5-year view now.
Yeah.
So essentially, you kind of get a bigger picture to say $1.40 a mile isn't the worst it's been, but I don't want it to go that far. I'm happy as a shipper locking it in there.
Yeah, you can look at some more historic data. Okay, and that is fantastic analysis, and thanks for just taking baby steps and kind of trying to educate us a little bit. But also, one of the things we want to look at are what are things that can happen in the freight market industry that can create these volatile conditions. So we're
talking about volatility, and these are several aspects that affect the freight market. But just like gasoline, a lot of people like to blame the environment, the economy, the current president. Honestly, at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it. But these are some of the things that drive the volatility, which is just, the up and down price movement.
And right now, you can hedge like diesel price, oil. You can make hedges on that in futures markets.
Absolutely.
But you can't. The weather, as we say, you can predict it, but you can't control it.
Yes, absolutely.
Trade policy, boy, that's been volatile.
Trade policy, housing, construction. I mean, there's a lot. We've got a dozen different factors up here that can affect driver availability. They can all affect what rate that the carriers get and the shippers pay at the end of the day.
One of the things too, and I don't know what you're going to mention, but I mean, why do we have an Amazon symbol here on Market Trends? Is Amazon alone has been a key player in the volatility of freight. It used to be like if you could say, I'm sorry, the shipment's going to be a week late. But ever since that 2-day shipping, free shipping, Prime membership with Amazon, it's a whole new world of expectations and efficiency. Do you know what I mean?
Lord help our children. We raise the bar again. Even something like seasonality. I mean, if you look at produce season, or even on the previous chart where we saw from you look at 2017 and go, from March to June we saw a big spike, but then if you look back at 2015, it was pretty nominal. The difference was even with seasonality, you really can't predict when it's going to happen exactly or to what extreme it's going to happen. So you want to eliminate the highs and the lows and lock it in there.
Yeah, like truck production last year, especially used trucks were they were record-breaking banner year for used truck prices, right? Now this year, slowing down, right?
Yeah.
So driver availability. I don't know, what's that like? We talked a lot about driver shortage in 2018 during the capacity crunch. How is that impacting things right now?
Well, I just read that drivers recently, several of the companies are giving the drivers another pay raise, so that's going to help some of the availability. But of course, the costs are going to go up as well, along with making payments on all these new trucks and everything else. So it will be an interesting year.
It will be. It's supposed to still be a pretty hot year. not going to be as crazy and outrageous as 2018. Wow, what an education I just received. Taking baby steps and understanding the freight futures market, which, you know, it's happening right now in New York City and then headed to the windy city of Chicago this very week on Thursday. So stay tuned, because on Thursday, the Sultan of Sonar, Zach Strickland, is going to make a return this week and talk to us a little bit more about why now for the futures market. Why is now the time to have one for such a large industry? Thanks for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow. We are here every single business day at 4 p.m. on FreightWaves.com, and check us out on Twitter. We'd love to see you there. Stay safe out there in these volatile conditions, and don't worry, be happy.